What channel are dental associations on? The Titles and Profits channel or Frontline Advocacy channel? I think it's time for the rose-colored glasses to come off and either hold your state and national associations accountable to what I call reality, or stop wasting your money on annual dues. I'm accompanied today on a long podcast with my sweetheart Tracy, and we're going to be exposing some really interesting things today, and I hope you stay with us. We begin our podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
May I suggest all of us stop taking a back seat and put some pressure, maybe a lot of pressure, on the ADA and your state dental association executives? Tracy and I have a lot of information today that I think all of you need to know, and I think this podcast is going to go out to maybe a couple thousand people in a hurry. I think we need to tell them to stop feeding us with platitudes of topics that have little action on what we do as dentists each day, and focus maybe on legislation that protects us from the evil designs, and that's right, I'm just going to call it what it is, the evil designs of third-party payers like we did here in Utah. Let me ask all of you a few simple questions of what matters most. I'm going to use bullet points on this, so here goes number one. Fluoridation in Albany, New York, or how about downcoding by dental insurance companies? Which one is more important? Number two, the dental medical loss ratio in Massachusetts, or bundling by dental insurance companies causing us to lose income. Now, I know the medical loss ratio is a big topic, but let me just say this. They've already figured out a way around it. In fact, one of the major dental insurance companies has already moved out of Massachusetts into a state that doesn't have the MLR, medical loss ratio. Think about that. Number three, dental service dogs for patient relaxation, or how about maybe misleading language on EOBs and how to get legislation to have them stop doing that. What about the legislation just to have them stop downcoding and bundling procedures, or allowing them to do it, but they can't force us to write that stuff off? Here's point number four. More Medicaid, more grant money for students, dental diets, COVID vaccines. How about sugar and coffee? or how to apply your state's non-covered services law to be paid fairly for dental procedures you currently provide. In Utah, My Practice, My Business is winning the fight on behalf of all dentists here in Utah with all four of the bullet points I just mentioned. And we even get a little bit of support from our UDA, or should I say mostly from our UDA executive, who isn't afraid to fight the battle with us. Tracy, I don't think we've had any of the UDA leaders ever come to our facility still to this date, have they, and come and talk to us?
They never have, just the one executive that we are very grateful that he's involved with us.
Unbelievable. I just don't even... Yeah, I don't even... Tracy and I were doing some research on the ADA looking for some statistical data, and just happened to find a very interesting article by Dr. Mike Barr, and the content of which I've echoed many times, and this deserves new coverage and commentary by Tracy and I. Here we go. The title of Dr. Barr's blog post was, quote, "The Inevitable Death of the American Dental Association," end of quote. And it was written December 15th of 2013, and it's as relevant today as it was back then, probably more so. And we begin our coverage on Dr. Barr's article in its entirety. Begin quote. "I've had this discussion online, Dental Town, a number of times. I've also discussed it with local colleagues who remain active in the ADA. A bit of history. First, I joined the ADA while in dental school. I remained a member since then, until several years ago. I served on the board of local affiliate dental association for many years, and made it all the way to president. At one time, I had dreams of taking my dental political career even higher, much higher. I wanted to be part of the solution, but I ran into a brick wall all the way. The association steadfastly believes that we must kowtow to the political authorities under the guise of being at the table. I long contended that we need to stand up. I was often excoriated with a dismissive attitude. I was a hothead. I was being irrational. I was told, if we don't sit at the table with them, they will do it without us. Do what? They can't do shit without us. Without us, they have no dentistry. We are holding the cards. No one owns the talents of another. If I recall correctly, it's been about 10 years since I dropped my ADA membership. And while I keep looking for a reason to rejoin, the association never fails to reaffirm my decision to leave. I have always believed that our association should stand up for dentists first and foremost, yet it seems a significant faction of our leaders at the national level are closely aligned with insurance companies and what is now called corporate dentistry. The local associations are typically top-heavy with specialists. The ADA does not have the interest of general dentists at heart. Naturally, they have an interest in selling us continued membership that perpetuates their existence. While the ADA will argue at length that they do have our interests at heart, the proof is in the pudding. Rather, they continually regurgitate talking points about access to care like good little political sycophants. They prove their allegiance and fealty to the powers that be with self-flagellation on our behalf. They endorse the notion that we are the problem. We are the reason for the fictitious political football known as the access to care problem. End of quote here for a minute. Trace, do you want to talk? Do you want to add something?
I am so overwhelmed by this, but I'm also really liking this guy because the things that he's saying right here is being echoed over and over with the people that we teach and our colleagues. So this is amazing. This is 10 years ago?
This is over 10 years ago that he wrote this article. Mm. And I'm looking at this going, holy crap, it's like the flagellation of perpetual, we do things for you guys. Well, wait till it gets in a little deeper here, but it's like, you and I both know that there's like 6, 7, just on the coding department, there's there's 7 specialists and 1 GP.
Yep.
On the coding department for the ADA. So he's dead on. We know he's dead on. Okay. Well, okay. Let me continue the quote. Quote, word on the street is that the association is hemorrhaging membership at both the local and national levels. Some of my online colleagues lament, you're giving up. No, we're not giving up. We're tired. We're tired of the same old shit year after year. We can't, in good conscience, continue to support an association that refuses to support us, refuses to listen to us, and refuses to act on our behalf. Stop quote. I'm going to, later in the article here, later in the podcast, I just want everybody to know that our ADA president showed a trajectory of ADA membership dropping below 50% nationwide if they don't start doing things that are relevant for all of us on the front lines. And we'll cover that more. Anything you want to add to that one?
I'm holding it all in. I really am right now. Can't wait to chat about this.
Continuing the quote. Honestly, we just don't care much about pushing communities to fluoridate the water supply. We laugh at the articles published in JADA, such as the recent article about whether certain racial groups get seen for dental emergencies in emergency rooms with the same priority as others. Really? This is what you really think is relevant to my practice? This is what you think I'll find interesting? What is your agenda? Really? We care about the undue influence insurance companies have on the doctor-patient relationship. We care about being able to practice anywhere in the United States without having to jump through turf protective hoops. We are the only healthcare professionals that have to take another regional or state board if we want to move. Yes, we know that you can't actually do anything about it, but you can make a stand. You can state a position. We care about the corporatization of dentistry. We care about the increased push of socialized healthcare. We care about the fact that participating in any federal or state program puts us, calling it access, puts us in dire legal jeopardy and requires us to quite literally relinquish our constitutional rights. We care about the growing trend of so-called dental therapists being licensed to practice dentistry. We care that our ability to serve our patients with only their interests at heart will be interfered with by third parties, including insurance companies and even our own government. We care about educating the general public about the benefits of today's dentistry. The ADA has been woefully derelict in its duty to promote dentistry to the public. Got teeth? We want the ADA to grow a pair. Are you listening, ADA? No, you're not. My own local association leaders, for the most part, blackballed me as I'm so outspoken. They view me with derision and contempt. I take it as a compliment and confirmation that I'm on the right track. The ADA will fall on its own sword, as it refuses to listen to those of us who have left the association. Instead of seeing it as an opportunity to learn and grow, they rest easy believing that we have quit on them, that they have given up. Their accolades continue to verb up the argument that the association is our only voice. It's the wrong voice. I'd rather they either shut up or sit down and figure out what they should be saying on our behalf. But that's not all. If you join now. Just last week, I got an email from the ADA intended to entice me into rejoining. I wish I was making this up, but their offer was truly laughable. They offered free membership, but there was an asterisk next to free. The fine print read that normal 2014 dues would be charged. So that means the offer is for 3 weeks of free membership. Laugh out loud. 3 whole weeks of all the wonderful benefits of the ADA should surely gain new members. I mean, how could anyone turn down such a generous offer? Please. Members, meet BUS. Recently, the Colorado Dental Association urged its members to take five Medicaid families. It's nice that the Colorado Dental Association has seen fit to throw its own members under the bus. First, by the silly platitude of take five, they are implying that their own member dentists are uncaring. Furthermore, they are asking their members to risk their very livelihoods and possibly freedom by taking Medicaid. As soon as you sign that Medicaid contract, you are giving up your constitutional rights. A mere suspicion of wrongdoing can lead to forfeiture of your practice and everything you own. And this will happen before due process. Yet the association is encouraging their dentists to take these risk factors, then advocate for reducing the risks of participation. Isn't it lovely that the association can claim the moral high ground while throwing dentists under the bus when the shit hits the fan? Familiarity breeds contempt. My local association has a rule about speakers for the monthly meetings. Local dentists, even members, are not allowed to present or speak at their own meetings. The speaker must be from out of town. When I was on the board, I had to ask why. The reason, and I'm not making this up, other dentists will get jealous that the speaker will gain some sort of advantage or favor in terms of referrals. No shit. Never mind that in my county, we have a bevy of national and internationally known speakers, but no, we have to fly in the shill for the gum pocket chip to spend an hour telling us that their product will reduce pocketing by an average of 0.5 millimeters. I'm still continuing the quote. Sorry, this brings up some funny things. Okay, continuing the quote. Red pill or blue pill? The ADA has a choice. They can either remain on their current course and cling to all the false reasons members are jumping ship, or they can stop, get a little introspective, and talk to those of us who have left. Your move, ADA. End of quote. All right, Trace. Is there anything you'd like to add to take from that whole
Well, first of all, I think you really like this guy because he has some nice, colorful language with what he's saying in this article. But he's saying it like it is.
It only swore a few times.
Yeah, just a few times.
But that was all.
It's true. One of the things that's really standing out to me is the mention of Medicare, and we're watching it right now being pushed on us, and we're even being signed up for Medicare without our knowledge. I do want to discuss that a little bit later in regards to what I'm seeing and the trends with those offices that are still.
Well, go for it. You can go for it right now,
Well,
because this point is powerful, and I think you ought to go ahead and hit it.
The one thing that really is getting to me right now is Medicare is a federal program, and because of it, they are exempt from state law. And what's really interesting is we're watching multiple entities, whether they're through United Healthcare or Aetna, but I really want to focus a little bit more on the United Healthcare Medicare. You can send them a crown, let's say, and you'll have an intraoral photo, hopefully proving the need for treatment, x-rays proving the need for treatment, and they can deny it, saying either poor prognosis or we didn't see the need for treatment. You can try and appeal this, but ultimately there's no oversight. And so an office that can prove the need for this treatment is going to be in a position where they are going to be forced to write off the surface, because it'll state not billable and not payable to the patient. Even
though they've proven the need for treating it. They've got intraoral photos, they've got x-rays, and they've got their narrative, and they've proven the need. You and I have both seen this over and over again.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
And so what dentist wants to go into dentistry with an entity, in this case Medicare, where it's a crapshoot. You don't know whether or not you're going to be doing this dentistry for free or not. And the fact that you have no choice, there's really no oversight. That's where I'm sorry. I refuse to work with Medicare. Won't do it.
Well, Dr. Mike Barr here at My Practice, My Business. Tracy and I echo your article, as do hundreds and hundreds of dentists and team members who, actually more like thousands now. We echo your article. We are in firm agreement with it, and we hope to buy you dinner sometime in the future. Hope to meet you sometime. Now then, 5 years later, this is really amazing. In 2018, 5 years later, comes another article as we were doing our research, trying to find some statistical data on the ADA that seems to be very hidden from the public. We find this other article called "The Future of the ADA" by Michael W. Davis. And he's an interesting author, and at least he's honest and bringing some information out. But Michael Davis is a dentist, and he wrote this July 6, 2018, and he points out the top priorities dentists still have, and they are as follows in order of greatest importance. And the number one, and still to this day in 2023, and I'm sure beyond, the number one concern that dentists have are third-party payers. And why in the world is the ADA and other associations not engaged in this? Now, in another podcast, Tracy and I are going to bring up the Washington State Dental Association when we had to fly up there in September to educate them on their own state laws. They didn't even know what they were. Unfrickin' believable. And it addresses third-party payers. There's 44 states that have non-covered services laws right now, and hopefully New York gets theirs passed this year. Imagine that. But yeah, we'll go into that in a few more minutes. Number 2 is proprietary dental schools growing. This was just a few years ago, folks. Number 3 was high dental student tuition. 4 is overproduction of dentists and hygienists, which is, this was like pre-COVID in 2018. For a couple of years, we couldn't even find a hygienist to work. So many of them dropped out of the workforce thanks to COVID. And in the state of Utah, we're starting to see the supply increasing again. Thank goodness, and I hope that's happening nationwide. The 5th was growth of corporate dentistry. And boy, the promises these DSOs are making, silent DSOs, mountaintop DSOs, oceanic DSOs, I mean, they're all giving themselves a whole new name out there. And the promises that they're making, wow, what you guys lose, docs, what you lose in tax deductions and income and other benefits of owning your own practice, you really need to have a CPA look at those things before you sign off on them. 6 was mid-level practitioners, 7, offshore dental labs, 8, the lack of the ADA-accredited lab schools, and 9, the need for more practical dental research. What a concept. So we're going to continue with Dr. Michael Davis, not to be confused with Dr. Michael Barr, Mike Barr, who we just read his article. But we're going to read Dr. Michael Davis's that came out in 2018, just 5 years ago. And it does a fairly good job presenting both sides of Dr. Michael Barr's article we just quoted and commented on, and the benefits of the ADA, which, Tracy and I still believe in the benefits of the ADA, but we are cautiously optimistic nowadays because we're not super optimistic, unfortunately. Obviously, I'm more on Barr's side of this article, but we continue with Dr. Davis's article and the dissection of it right now. Quote, "We are fast approaching the 5-year anniversary date of the now famous report by Dr. Mike Barr, The Inevitable Death of the American Dental Association, published on the Dental Warrior. This wake-up call was widely discussed by doctors on the Dental Warrior and also Dental Town." End of quote there for a minute. I just want to say thanks to Dental Town. I really like those guys and what they do. Anyway, continue the quote. Mike Barr, DDS, formerly very active in Florida organized dentistry, publicly discontinued his membership in the ADA for a variety of reasons. He felt the ADA was too closely aligned with interests outside of general dentists, including the insurance industry, corporate dentistry, and dental specialists. He also observed, end of quote for a minute. God, it isn't number one really the insurance industry, two, DSOs taking it to the dentists who sign up for them, and three, not dental specialists per se, except for those on the coding department of the ADA who make GPs' lives, rough. You want to add anything on that?
Well, that last sentence is pretty much on point, though. They're aligned with interests outside of dental dentistry. So, insurance industry, we already know quite a bit about that. And one day we're gonna have a nice podcast on how aligned the ADA really is with the insurance industry. Well, and I'll leave it there. Corporate dentistry. Now, this is something that I've heard multiple times from multiple sources, and like you and I like to make sure that I've confirmed this information. But I found out I heard that the D1999 code, that code for unspecified preventative services that the ADA was pushing so much during that PPE phase where we were trying to get reimbursed for gloves and masks, right? They actually made a stance because corporate dentistry entities, so DSOs, were going after the ADA saying, listen, our margins are so low, we will go bankrupt if we cannot charge for these things. And so due to pressure from DSOs, that was something that I thought was really interesting. So we're going to investigate that a little bit more. And then dental specialists, you're absolutely right. I mean, why is it that so many representatives of oral surgeons are on that coding panel? Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Continuing with the quote. He also observed that the ADA was advocating for causes outside of its membership, including the corporatization of dentistry, socialist style, healthcare, lesser trained providers such as dental therapists, and participation in the broken dental Medicaid program, while displaying an unwillingness to promote the benefits of modern dentistry directly to the public. Barr offered an open challenge to the ADA. The ADA has a choice. They can either remain on their current course and cling to all the false reasons members are jumping ship, or they can stop, get a little introspective, and talk to those who have left. Your move, ADA. On a 2016 Dental Warrior report, Barr followed in his open communication to the ADA with, my blog written for an audience of dentists averages 10,000 views per month. I am a dental cheerleader, but I cannot cheer for the ADA. The ADA was lost a long time ago and deeper in the weeds now than ever before. You're in deep trouble with my generation of dentists, and even worse, for the younger generation. If you don't get your blank together soon, your organization is dead, gone soon. Barr specifically cited areas of concern for today's dentists, which the ADA was failing to adequately address. 1, the insanely high cost of dental school, leading to insurmountable debt by new dentists, most of whom will never be able to own their own practices. This has far-reaching effects, including a deleterious influence on the ethics of dentists. 2, the growth of corporate dentistry with non-dentists at the helm. 3, the increasing interference of insurance companies in the doctor-patient relationship. 4, perpetually increasing regulations by local, state, and national governments. 5, our reputation or standing among professions. 6, increasing vilification of dentists as greedy, along with increasing attitude that they are entitled to our services. And 7, the trend towards a single-payer health system that some like to include dentistry, a really bad idea. Dr. Cynthia Pauley, DDS, currently serves as president of the Washington State Dental Association. In steep contrast, some other elements in organization dentistry, her state's association has directly engaged in state legislation to protect and preserve the doctor-patient relationship from the interferences of corporate healthcare. Pauley also has led efforts to confront the dental educational industrial complex allegedly unfairly operating at the University of Washington School of Dentistry. Her group openly challenged allegedly corrupt practices of Delta Dental through the legal process, regulatory process, legislative process, and direct dissemination of information to the public. Dr. Pauley stated, I believe the ADA is at its best when it is focused on clinical, science-based work or when playing a complementary supportive role with state and local dental societies. The ADA's State Public Affairs Program, management of a common organized dentistry database, and ADA SIL program are examples of what ADA does well, Pauley said. The governance of the ADA feels increasingly antiquated. The organization has paid for report after report to help it improve its governance and repeatedly fails to implement any meaningful change, Pauley continued. The ADA House of Delegates is too large. The organization has too many committees with too many members. There is also too much duplication between the services provided by the ADA, state dental associations, and local dental societies. Most dues-paying members do not understand how all of their ADA dues dollars are spent, and several of the benefits provided by the ADA cost extra, she said. In a perfect world, the ADA would find a way to shed some of its legacy costs and divest from duplicative activities performed by state and local organizations. The ADA could then divert those dollars to the highest priorities facing the profession. Reforms require bold action, and so far the ADA House of Delegates has been more interested in preserving the status quo, Pauley said. Now I'm going to stop the quote right there. First of all, where was this president when we were trying to get the? I mean, of course, the our Utah law, the network leasing, downcoding, and bundling protections law. Dr. Cynthia Pauley would have jumped right on that like crazy.
I would have loved to have met her and to be able to sit down and really chat with her.
Yeah,
about
this is actually somebody that gets it, and I don't know. It's like I'm just looking at this, going, yeah, it is too top heavy. Yes, they are absolutely diverting dollars for things that are okay. Well, we heard it said, and I won't say who said it, but the ADA, it's like what happens on the East Coast is so much different than what happens on the West Coast. And we can't please everybody. And the ADA is working really hard and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to go back to Dr. Barr's statement and go, yeah, they're full speed ahead nowhere. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, do you got any comments on that?
Well, and we hear it all the time. You know, we're fielding calls from all throughout the nation, and the number one concern is third-party payers. But every single time it's brought up with these associations, it's brushed off. And the focus, again, is on those little things that really don't matter so much.
We're in the chat in the ADA News, the Morning Huddle. How many times do we see anything written on third-party payers or legislative action against them? And it's like, and it's always the same platitude of statement. Well, you should just drop them then. You should just drop the PPL plans, not sign up for them. My gosh, really? How's that going to work out for everybody? Think that through for just a minute. With a, I don't know, multi-billion-dollar industry, they're not going away. Are they kidding? Okay, Dr. Davis's article continues with Dr. Gordon Christensen. Quote, Gordon Christensen, DDS, MSD, PhD, has dedicated his career to the advance of dental profession, education of colleagues, and improvements in dental health for the public. In 2011, he presented to the ADA Board of Trustees surveys of thousands of dentists and their frustrations for change with the ADA. Little has changed. It is now 2018, and little has changed, Christensen added. We need action and change immediately. Emphasis by Dr. Christensen. He then offered the following. What does the ADA do well? Represents the profession and the membership well to the public, politicians, and other health professions. Provides information about many topics to interested members. Provides insurance and other benefits. Attempts to keep members up to date relative to political and scientific changes. Attempts to keep interested members involved in local leadership roles. And provides continuing education. What aspects need improvement? You could take the red list, priority number 1, which was third-party payers, and it well represents the feelings of the profession. As I said, little or nothing has been done on those challenges in the 7+ years since my original survey. Next, by far, third-party involvement and domination is the major challenge facing dentistry, limiting quality care because of low fees, keeping dentists' net income at the 1997 level according to the ADA stats, and frustrating treatment plans. The oversaturation of dentists is a significant negative factor in many areas of the country. High tuition costs are formidable. Funding is necessary. More pragmatic clinical teaching and learning in dental schools. The current domination of research in many dental schools has made teaching a minor part of what many faculty members do. Some of the new private schools are turning out better practitioners than the major universities. The liberal do-gooders and their influence on mid-level practitioners is a misguided concept. The profession needs its parent organization, the ADA, to better represent what it actually does rather than pie-in-the-sky research and speculation. Note the current ADA journal and try to find something that relates to what dentists actually do. My opinion, after doing dental research for 50 years, is that research should support practice, not the reverse. Now, many federal grants, highly sought after by dental school faculties, support projects that have minor to no relation to practice. A major emphasis to get the profession back to the profession with improved ethics and professionalism with less emphasis on dollars. Will the ADA go the way of the AMA? There are currently groups that think so. There is currently a movement to rebel against the ADA, demanding attention to and action on the points I have previously mentioned. In the event the status quo continues, the ADA will continue to lose members. Immediate action on the major challenges in the profession is mandatory. John Finley. John S. Finley, DDS, practices general dentistry in Plano, Texas. He is the past president of the Texas Dental Association and the American Dental Association. First and foremost, he says, the ADA is uniquely positioned to answer the challenges and effect the changes necessary to keep this profession and the association a viable and effective force in healthcare in the United States. At this time, no other professional organization in any healthcare field exists with the capacity to accomplish a mission of such significance for an entire profession, Finley said. Some organizations may exist, but effective representation and thus desired results have been stymied by the loss of member interest and the resulting loss of market share. The ADA has position and standing. It has a critical responsibility and is in a unique position to shape the future, Finley said. The ADA must continue to represent the interests and fulfillment and fulfill the needs of its members. If that fact is ignored, you will see membership decline and meeting attendance decline. As noble as its many causes are, the ADA is first a members' organization. Members need to feel, they need to believe, and they need to see that their needs are being answered by their organization, Finley said. Finley laid out important specifics. Both the busyness and business of our profession are challenging issues for the ADA. I can read the stats and see the numbers, but I also practice and I hear the comments of those in practice. The ADA must gain and keep the leading edge for representing what members believe is important for their practices in the profession, he said. The roles that manufacturers and supply houses play in the dental care arena are now being examined in the court system, and rightly so. The cost of the provision of care is a subject demanding association attention from the member viewpoint. Education's role in the profession extends far beyond the classroom. The economic role that the education plays in the after-graduation life of a professional should be openly studied and understood, he said. In Congress, notably at the ADA's continuing instance, we must see the unfair antitrust exemption extended to the insurance industry be given a fair hearing and hopefully a final resting place. It's been a long time coming, but the ADA has long championed repeal of McCarran-Ferguson. Only the ADA is capable of exerting the necessary force to see this happen, he said. I'm going to stop the quote right there. You and I are taking a deep breath on McCarran-Ferguson, aren't we?
I'm taking a deep breath with that
because we have seen the software that allows the insurance companies to circumnavigate the McCarran-Ferguson Act when it comes to collusion,
price fixing. I mean, it's amazing that we're. Why is it? This is where it's frustrating. Why is it that you and I, Rob, are the ones that have cared enough to really ask those questions as to why and how these guys actually come up with their reimbursement rates for us? Why is this not something that the associations are looking into?
Why isn't that being published by the associations? Why isn't the truth being rung every single week in the ADA morning huddle? And why isn't the ADA? I mean, he's sitting here saying that the association is the only one that can, because of their strength, they're the only ones that can champion repeal with the power of the ADA.
Well, first of all, how long did it take? And secondly, what is the reasoning behind it? We both know, you and I.
Yeah.
And yes, this will be a really huge podcast when we decide to release this information.
The ADA it gives them control over the CDT codes like they've never had before. And there's a reason for that. So, this is, again, it's just same crap, different day.
Again, rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. Continuing the quote, on the article, when asked what the ADA does well, Finley offered the ADA continues to be very successful in advocating for the extension of dental care to all, a vital part of our professional foundation. The promotion of the benefit of community water fluoridation has always been given priority in Chicago. And advocacy for quality of care was paramount in the eyes of the founding fathers of our association. This needs to continue today. The best example of quality advocacy is what we see in the ADA SIL program. It works. It is a brilliant example of what an association can do for the profession and the patient. He concluded with how he sees the ADA's future. We must recognize the tenets upon which the association was founded, be relevant to the daily practice life of members, and promote the well-being of those for whom we care and the demands of the future are met. The ADA can do that. And a quote here for a minute. What's interesting is how many times has the ADA's SIL program been talked about with corruption from companies that are feeding the ADA a lot of money for that seal of approval.
Well, exactly. I mean, whenever you endorse a product, the ADA is going to want something in return.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my gosh. Okay, we continue with the quote from the article. Dr. Joseph P. Crowley. Joe Crowley, DDS, has served in organized dentistry for decades and practices in Cincinnati, Ohio. He is the current president of the ADA. He states, the future of the American Dental Association is steeped in celebrating diversity and harnessing technology programs and partnerships that empower dentists to provide optimal oral health for all, he said. As the demographics of dentistry change, the ADA is focused on demonstrating relevance to women, diverse groups, and new dentists entering the profession. Efforts like the Institute for Diversity and Leadership Program, the Women in Dentistry Leadership Series at our national meeting, and the ADA 10 Under 10 Awards for new dentists are some of the many ways were showing up differently to those who may have once thought they couldn't see themselves in the ADA. The leadership of ADA councils and committees is also diversifying, with a 10% increase in the representation of women and a 7% increase in multicultural representation from 2017 to 2018, Crowley said. I'm going to stop the quote right there. This is wonderful, and we love inclusion and diversity here at My Practice, My Business. And let me just say this. When these wonderful people get out into private practice and reality hits them, I don't think they really care as much about that stuff as they do third-party payers and the crap that they have to put up with out in the real world. I'm just saying, maybe I'm speaking out of tune, but I know that my friends who are of different cultures echo that very same thing that I just stated, and they are on board with that statement.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah, no kidding. Continuing, quote, we're also looking to smart technology, innovative policy, and trusted partners to continue proudly serving the profession and the public. From the Find a Dentist and ADA credentialing tools to the third-party payer concierge and insurance provider contract analysis, these services, among others, help to streamline the business side of dentistry, he said. I'm going to end the quote there. What the heck happened to the third-party payer concierge and insurance provider
You know what?
analysis?
This is interesting. I think, honestly, they got a little bit overwhelmed by all the phone calls. Guess what? It is back.
Yeah, it was gone for a while, and now it's back. And the interesting thing is it's back. I'm going to call it's back in its weakness.
Oh, yeah.
Because they still are not addressing reality.
Well, and the most common response is, well, you signed the agreement, or, well, that's a state issue that you'll have to figure out.
Yeah, they have their generic responses continuously, don't they? Instead of actually coming up with a solution, which Dr. Barr asked for over 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Continuing the quote, speaking of the business of dentistry, the ADA is in the midst of launching a pilot program based on field research that found we can play a role in addressing the needs of dentists in making connections. The program will help new and established dentists during their most important transitions, such as finding associates or buying and selling a practice, he said. We've also taken concrete actions to advance the overall health of the public, like fighting oral cancer and the opioids crisis, and teaming up with partners like CVS Health. Our future is rooted in not only evolving to meet the needs of our changing membership, but taking bold strides to ensure dentists have what they need to do what they do. Improve the health of their patients and the overall health of this country, Crowley said. Conclusion. Aspects of the dental profession are fully in crisis mode. Immediate and fundamental changes are required. We can't afford well-intended platitudes of political correctness. A simple quick fix of a tweak here and there isn't adequate. The ADA is the single organization best positioned to handle these critical issues, and the time for action is now. Major tests facing the ADA are on full display. Rank-and-file member doctors demand direct confrontation of these serious matters. If organized dentistry continues to fail membership enrollment will continually bleed away. The ADA must be very clear on whom it represents without conflicts. Whose interests come first? Member doctors, inclusive of the doctor-patient relationship, which involves the public. Government programs, the insurance industry, corporate healthcare, corporate sponsors of dental manufacturers and suppliers, or the dental education industrial complex. A tacit policy of jack of all trades and master of none is a receipt for irrelevance. Maintaining and expanding the ADA's membership isn't about social happy hours or pep rallies. Membership depends upon the ADA's bureaucracy from the executive director position down, getting involved in direct confrontational problem solving in the interests of doctors and the doctor-patient relationship. When the ADA acts on behalf of interests outside of its membership, doctors are justifiably frustrated. When the ADA offers little to no support for state organizations directly supportive of doctor-patient interests, membership gets very frustrated. That frustration could well portend the demise of the ADA. Now, disclosure. The author of this article is a life member of the ADA. Dr. Davis practices general dentistry in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He assists as an expert witness in dental fraud and malpractice legal cases. He currently chairs the Santa Fe District Dental Society Peer Review Committee and serves as a state dental association member to its House of Delegates. He extensively writes and lectures on related matters. And a full quote of his article, of which I'm surprised somebody from such a wonderfully blue state actually could come out and have the power play to actually put something like that out there. But good for him. That's he nails it right on the head, and I'm grateful he did. So at the beginning of my this podcast, it's going to be a post. We read that the number one problem facing dentistry is third-party payers, and every dentist that Tracy and I train or talk with expresses the same concern. But I have one simple question for all of you. How many articles do you read in the ADA Journal or ADA Morning Huddle or any other ADA or state association communication that reports on the actions the leaders of our profession are taking to address this simple number one concern? I haven't seen one this whole year. And no, the MLR law does not count because, like we said earlier, the dental insurance companies have already found a workaround to the minimum loss ratio law. And how would you guys like if the federal government came in and said that 87% of the money that you take in from patients has to be paid out to whatever they decide, and you can only take 13% as your profit margin?
I'm going to laugh and say that's probably more than they've ever gotten in profits, taking the insurance companies writing things off unnecessarily.
Well, when they don't go through our training
exactly.
and when they don't know what we know, yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly.
Maybe that'd be a pay raise for
that might be
the
a little
large
bit of a raise.
Number of dentists across the nation.
But you're right. No entity should tell somebody who's a business owner how much of a profit they can make.
We don't mean to stand up for the insurance companies by all means, which we are. We're actually taking their side on this, but that's because we believe in the fair market system. It's ridiculous. We're just against it. I want to be very clear, though, with this next statement, a declaration that both Tracy and I can make on any given day, and it's this. The large majority of dentists and their teams have no idea how to apply non-covered services laws in their states. I want you to think about that for a moment, because most dentists don't even know that there are non-covered service laws in their states, let alone how they apply to dentistry. And most insurance EOBs tell the front office team members to write off those non-covered services, and that's exactly what most end up doing because they don't know any better. 44 states, again, have non-covered service laws that protect dentists from doing free dentistry at the time that we're doing this article and we're doing this podcast, yet how many dental team members just follow the status quo of the dental insurance companies with their bullying tactics of writing off legitimate services? Too many. Way too many. And I'll tell you how many. The large majority. And where are the other states who do not have non-covered service laws? Gutless states, in my opinion, but then again, most of them are blue states. Where are the continuous classes on the application, Tracy, of state laws regarding dental insurance plans? Where's the ADA in taking Utah's network leasing, downcoding, and bundling protections law and getting it passed in every state, just like the non-covered service laws were done years ago? What are they afraid of? What's their excuse? What's the ADA? The ADA has been working on the Docs Act for how many years? And that act would bring a non-covered service law to federal plans, governing all federal plans. And that would be a great accomplishment. They've been working on it for, 7 years now?
Almost 7 years,
But what about the state representatives who lead their respective dentists locally? Maybe they are more interested in their wall plaques than actually being doers of dentistry. And that's right. I'm calling you out. How do I know that? I served on our board. I saw it personally up front, just like Dr. Barr did. It's so frustrating me. I constantly see the executives of state associations either choosing to remain ignorant to state laws and dental contracts, just like Tracy and I witnessed with the Washington State Dental Association, Montana, Wyoming, New Mexico. I mean, do we want to keep going?
Oh, Idaho.
Idaho.
California.
Yeah.
We definitely can keep going.
I'm like, and also their board members. Or I see them working full speed ahead nowhere on matters that really don't have any positive impacts on the dentists who are on the front lines of providing oral health care to the citizens of their respective states and being able to actually be profitable on procedures. No, we just point. We give the generic answer of, well, you signed a contract, therefore, and in conclusion thereof, you should get out of your contract and not sign up for any dental insurance plans. What? I am tired of it. What a weak, stupid, idiotic excuse. I am so sick of hearing our associations state, well, you signed a contract and you should get out of it. Because let me tell you, people, what is working. The network leasing, downcoding, and bundling protections law in the state of Utah is working for our dentists here to be able to push back against insurance plans for their what do I want to call it? For their deceptive tactics of causing us to write off balances, and to be able making us do free dentistry. Our law is working here in Utah, and yes, that's a bold statement, but it is definitely unemotionally true. How many examples would you like me to give? I have more than I want to admit. I love in the UDA action. Our president at the time wrote an article, and he showed a statistic that I know probably has to be freaking out the ADA, because it's showing the membership trend line, and it's showing by 2027, if the ADA doesn't get their poop in a group, that trend could potentially see the ADA. The ADA, right now we're running between 60 and 65% membership, folks. Right? No, actually, we're probably a little lower than that. I think we're 55 to 60% membership, according to the statistical report I'm staring at right now. So I want to end my statement with this graph above that I wish you guys could see. You'll see it in my blog post. It seems to speak volumes, confirming Dr. Michael Barr was correct over 10 years ago. And this comes from our own UDA president in an article that he wrote at the end of last year, as he expressed his concern with declining membership with the ADA nationwide. The bottom line, the ADA is hemorrhaging members. And I hope they figure it out, how to better serve their members before it's too late. Enough of the platitudes and more of the practical solutions dentists are wanting. Our new Utah law, again, is working and needs to be in every single state. And more laws can be passed to regulate third-party payers instead of coming up with the complacent, simple, like, oh, this is how we do it. Don't take plans. That $100 billion a year industry is not going away, people. We're going to have those plans forever. So we are pushing back with PPO plans and winning battles and being paid fairly for dental services, where years ago we would just allow them to bundle everything and downcode procedures and believe that deceitful EOB as we used to write off legitimate services. In Utah, we're winning without the ADA, yet with the support of an association executive, thank goodness, who understands our thought leadership here at My Practice, My Business and isn't afraid to run with us. There's a book that in our advanced dental business training we have the teams read before they come out, and it's the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And what I really laugh at is trust has to be at the foundation. With trust, then you can have conflict, and you can actually talk about these things, and you can debate them heavily, and be emotional about it if you want to. And then at the end of the day, you come up with a conclusion and you work forward as a team. But if you don't trust people, you can't have this conflict. I trust our UDA executive. I don't trust the ADA a whole lot, but I trust our UDA executive, and Tracy and I can have these hard conversations with him because at the end of the day, we support each other. And we definitely need to support our associations because they can do great things for us. But just like these 2 articles that we quoted today, if they don't get their poop in a group, membership's going to drop, and we are going to be left in a world of hurt as a industry.
And I think the bottom line with this is, at the very beginning of this podcast, we asked, what course are they running down? Are these association executives really focused on the title of their position, or are they really acting as our advocates? And when we determine which of the two, whether it's on a state association level or the ADA, once we determine which channel they're on, we need to move forward with what we can do to either support it or get somebody in that actually can be our advocate.
And that's a power play right there, because there's a lot of associations who have executives that ought to get the boot. They ought to be fired. And every association out there, if they have not come up with you and talked to you about your state laws and how to apply them, which we haven't seen any state do except here in Utah, and Tracy and I have been the leaders in doing that. If they're not doing that minimally, either help educate them or get them the crap out of there, because they don't deserve to be there. This has been a long, lengthy podcast, but it's been a long time coming. Other things that Tracy and I have been seeing, oh my gosh, there are states that have state insurance commissions that don't even accept complaints from dentists regarding third-party payers. We have seen, we know that there are state insurance commissions that are under investigation right now for, let's just say, potentially, possibly breaking the law. We are seeing state insurance commissions that are just useless. We are seeing associations that are leaderless. And you know what, you guys? I'm going to say this. If you don't get involved, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Let us help you get involved. One of the ways to do that, obviously, is to come through our training, but we're happy to take your calls and help you get involved and give you some step-by-step processes by which you can be involved in your states with your state associations. This is probably one of the longest podcasts that you and I have done, and I try to keep these podcasts short, but this one, it just needed to be said, and it needed to be echoed. I hope that all of you listen to this a couple of times, because you need to hear and act on the things that you've just learned. Evil people rule when good people do nothing. And that's a wrap. I'll give you the last word, sweetheart.
This has been super fun. Just reading through this and thinking again about all the great things that we have in the plans for the future with My Practice, My Business. And hopefully we can get some things done on our end with legislation to help fight and protect and advocate for our colleagues as well.
Well, that's one thing that you do well. There's no doubt. We hope you guys all have a great day, and till we meet with you again.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.